Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're in the F4 car at Okayama. This is my first race of the week, a solid 2.3 strength of field. And the goal of today is really to look at how to maintain our composure in a little bit of adversity as we go through a race. So just getting off the line here, we started 7th with the 5th car in the lobby. Got a pretty good getaway. Trying to find our footing again, it's the first race of the week. Trying to get in line, which we luckily do pretty quickly. At this point, I normally wouldn't think about a move here, but I did have a pretty good start. So if it was available to me, I would have taken, but again, just trying to get through the first lap. There was a mistake there by the 9 car. I was able to definitely get up beside him, which was great. One thing that I've changed recently in my setup is I've been adjusting the brake pressure of my sprints. And through any of the practice laps that I've done, going into this hairpin here has been interesting. So, unfortunately, get a massive lockup on the first lap here. Thankfully, I did not slide through the corner or do anything crazy. Actually, was able to complete that overtake with a little bit of action behind us. But yeah, to be P6 right now, definitely feeling pretty good about that. Slight gap ahead, slight gap behind. Really focused on warming the tires up, getting a couple laps in, and then seeing what we can do in terms of pace. Had a decent qualifying effort, probably could have done a little bit better, but for the first race of the week, pretty pleased at starting 7th. So good first lap as we went through, and not a whole lot happens for a while, so I'm going to skip ahead and
do it.
We've advanced quite a bit into this race, and most of what you missed was me working to keep up with Cody, try to close the gap, and then maintain the gap that we had behind us. That gap behind us was mostly a little bit of pace, but mostly guys having incidents and accidents and things like that. So I've been working really hard for the last 15 minutes or so to keep up with Cody and catch him. I think at one point he had about a 2.5 second gap on me. And we're getting to the place now where we're within draft. I've had some opportunities to get close enough to potentially send it, but not really in my style to do so. So really trying to run a tight race, close that gap, and then earn an overtake. He's made a couple mistakes along the way, nothing crazy to like close, say 2 seconds or something in one lap or anything like that, but enough to give me hope. It was interesting as I went through this race. Normally I feel like I'm the person, ahead and making some little micro mistakes that give other people the opportunity to catch me up, and I actually found myself in the complete opposite situation during this race. So at this point in the lap, at this point of the race, we've closed that gap pretty well down to being in striking distance. There's a couple places in the circuit where he's faster than me, but generally speaking, we're pretty tight on pace. So feeling good about trying to get an overtake. We're down to 2 laps to go in the race. I'm as close to Cody as I've been throughout the entire event. I've been kind of sizing him up, getting a sense of where the overtake is best to happen. Definitely seems like going to the hairpin's the right spot with the draft, assuming I can get a really good exit on the previous corner to set that up. So this lap is all about trying to get into this corner as we approach it as good as I can to get the best exit possible, so that I have an opportunity to stay tight, get the draft, and then make the overtake. And really it works out pretty perfectly here. I'm as close to him as I've been at this point. I'm in the draft. There's plenty of opportunity at this point to make an overtake. I'm not really sure if he's going to defend. If I kind of go slowly to the right, he clearly does not. And actually gives me tons of space. I went back and looked at it after the race, and he gave me tons of space. So made the overtake, and this is immediately where it goes from I've been chasing this guy for 18.5 minutes to now I'm in front. Like, what do I do? So thankfully I didn't make any stupid mistakes, which is a thing that I'm definitely prone to do. Like, you get in front, it's like all of a sudden it's a different perspective. But yeah, to take in my line as I normally do, fortunately get tapped there in the back, and this is the moment where it's really easy to kind of lose your mind a little bit. Thankfully I was able to keep my composure and get the car going again. I think we end up in 7th or 8th place once we get going in the correct direction again. And we'll look at that accident to kind of get some perspective, but at first it didn't feel really good, if we're being honest, so. But it's always important to keep your mouth closed and look at the replay. So as we start the final lap, we've had a pretty great race to this point. We were sitting mostly P5 throughout the entire race. Unfortunately, we made a great overtake. We really set that up over many laps. Unfortunately, there was some contact there. I'm running a little hot in the moment, if we're being honest. It didn't feel great. I mean, from my point of view, I kind of felt like I got dumped, but was able to reserve myself and just focus on finishing the race in the best possible position. We're still P8. It's not P5, you know, but it's still P8. So I like the position I'm in. Of course, I like the one that I was in previously a little bit better, but really just trying to get everything we can out of this, especially knowing that a lot of these F4 races have some shenanigans, if you will, especially in the end. So, trying to do the best we can. We hear Jim telling us that there are incidents. I'm hoping that they're ahead of us. I don't see the yellow flags yet. But just pushing, trying to get the most out of it. I was kind of hoping that I could catch up to Spencer here, but he does a pretty good job staying in front. So, we see smoke in the distance. We see a yellow flag. See more smoke. Not really sure what's going on. Try to be somewhat conservative as we approach, and then we see somebody getting back on the track. This was definitely kind of questionable for me. I was gonna try to make that overtake there, and he clearly covered it off pretty hard to the right. And then I was like, I know I'm gonna have a draft, and then went for the move to the right, and he really pushed me all the way down.
Pushed me all the way to the end.
Thankfully, I was able to get him there at the very last second, and I think I only got him by a few milliseconds. So. Pretty cool way to end the race, take a P7, but it could have been so much more. So I want to show you the replay from a point of view that might outline how everything went down a little bit, but I think one thing I just want to say, because you're not going to see the chat, and you're not going to see the interactions after the race, Cody was extremely apologetic. He clearly made a mistake. It was nothing intentional, and I think just having that mentality and him showing that and expressing that to me just makes it so much easier to be like, yeah man, it's cool, shit happens, don't worry about it. No worries. He even offered to send me like a $5 card to iRacing. I'm like, dude, it's totally fine. It happens. It is what it is. So, yeah, I think he just got in too hot, you know, and that's how it goes sometimes. And then looking at what happened at the very end of the race, this was also pretty interesting to me. If you look at his hand, we'll look at his hands here in a second, and it looks like he had some damage because his wheel was aimed a little bit to the left the entire time. So. I don't think it was quite as egregious as it seemed in the moment. So that wraps up my race. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of quick, but pretty interesting. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. I'll catch you guys later.